Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod with Rafa Steinhauser with us. Rafa is an impressive man. First off, has a really nice house. He lives in the jungle near a beach, so very nice view. He might show you that in a second. But Rafa has accomplished a lot in his career so far. So currently, Rafa is the co-founder and president at Alpha Capital Acquisition Company. He had a long career in high tech, 37 years to be precise. He was, the last 20 years, he was CEO of multinationals such as Nortel Networks, Cisco, Qualcomm in LATAM. He recently left corporate life to pursue entrepreneurship, ed tech, legal tech, that is, governance, which is a very interesting topic. So governance and AI is one topic we're going to talk about today. He's involved in some mergers in NASDAQ companies as well, some SPACs, which we might talk about. And third, he's also an artist. So actor, dramaturgist, and co-director of the largest theater festival in Brazil. So this is going to be a fun one. We're going to try to pack as much value as possible for you guys. Rafa, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and about what you're up to nowadays.
Thank you very much, Charles. It's a pleasure to talk to you and your audience. As you mentioned, I'm looking back to a long period in corporate life, 37 years. And after that, in pandemic times, I changed my life and became an entrepreneur and do as well governance more and more. And as a second profession, I am an artist, an actor, and manage culture, and that I do in parallel to my tech world. So I am very active in tech, many years in corporate life, now autonomous, and as well in the arts. That's my life, and currently I am the chairman of 4 companies in Brazil. I do live in Brazil, and member of the board of a public American company, which is called Semantic, the first deep tech company to be listed in the NASDAQ, and that merged with a SPAC that I created with my colleague, Alec Oxenford, in February of 2021. We de-SPACed in August 22. Those 4 companies I am a chairman of. One is an EdTech, educational technology company. Another one is a legal tech. Another one is a company that has a builder for immersive internet, immersive experiences. And the 4th one is a circular economy company that recycles cellular phones and get their access to a broad number of people to good smartphones, and does good for the ecology as well. So these are my activities. All of what I do nowadays is purpose driven. I have the luxury of being able to choose what I do at this stage of my life, and find it very important that you do whatever is within your passion, within the things that you like and believe in, and within the frame of what you think is good and purpose-driven in life. So that's, in a nutshell, myself and where I am today.
You occupied some really important and impressive positions: president of Nortel Brazil, president of Cisco System Brazil, president LATAM, Qualcomm. How hard did you had to work to get to these positions, and what insights did you get from working there at the top?
Yeah, that's a good question. Huh? How do you build a career? And first, starting with working hard, it's an expression that we use, but I think working smart is better than hard, because it is all about how you manage something and how you learn from something. I would say at first, when you're young, you go to school, hopefully have a good education, and get skills that let you execute, do some work. And if you're focused and driven, disciplined, you can gain in your work competencies to go to the next level, which is to become a manager of projects or of people, and then to lead as a director or vice president or CEO. So that's where you can end up, but then there is more you can do if you learn your entire life and you learn from mistakes and you get experience and you get ups and downs, and you acquire savviness, which is another property that that you conquer, and with that you can govern in life. Govern has to do with governance, and governance has to do is the art of preserving and expanding the value of a company or an entity, public entity, or and non-for-profit, or what it may be. And preserving the value means controlling, auditing, being sure you are adherent to the values of the company, you are compliant, you are looking after the risks and don't put the company at risk, but also in particular expanding the value of the company, which has to do with strategy, which has to do with innovation and M&A, and which has to do in particular with people. And at governance level, you look after the executive team, motivate them, align them, and choose when somebody has to be added or somebody has to leave the company. So these are different stages that you can reach in life if you are a learner from school at the beginning, from your work then, and from your experience in life and mistakes and errors and yes, and humbly collect wisdom and then try to get it back. So that's my trajectory. Of course, there are other people that start in a different way. They start becoming an entrepreneur and they go into corporate life. There are people that have been autonomous their entire life. But I think it is valid for all of us that we have stages in life. And if we are focused and lucky enough, we can go through different levels in life, as I described before.
Is it fair to say that working smart and this calmness that I feel in you and this wisdom is acquired through repeatedly putting yourself through the fires and the high stress of managing complex situations involving lots of stress?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there is something. First, you need to have a balanced life. No, life has different realms, areas that you need to nurture and care of, and they have to do, of course, with your physical body, with your emotional body, with your mental body, and with your spiritual body or bodies, at least. And there are other bodies as well. And if you are balanced, you can better manage challenges and also be and remain humble. I think humbleness is very important. Humble is not being, humble is being knowing what you are and what you are not, and knowing that you are not more than anybody else. You just have a different function. You are now behind the microphone and have your audience, and I'm here being interviewed, but we are both citizens of the world and can interact in a horizontal manner, in a way that is respectful one for the other. The other one is, you mentioned the word stress, and for me, stress is how you administer good or bad pressure. So the more responsibility you have in life, the more pressure you have. That is typical. So you start off by being a single collaborator in a company, but then you are a manager, you need to care for your co-workers, you become a leader, you need to care for the result of your business unit. You become a CEO. You need to care for the value of the company. You become a chairman. You need to care for the existence and future of the company, with all the employees and the impact on the society you might have. And that brings pressure more and more. You need to take decisions. You are confronted with challenges and explosions every day. And how do you deal with that? If you take it personally, if you engage personally with each and every challenging situation, you will not be able to resolve them, and you are going to become stressed. Stress means pressure that gets in and it doesn't go out. And that is not good. You will never be able to scale if you don't take your job as a task that you do the best you can, but not necessarily have to do the problems with something that you created. You need to be there to resolve them, of course, help resolving them. But if you cannot go away home and do some other things, in my case, I'm an artist, as I mentioned, and then be with your beloved ones and with your family and go and sleep well, then there is a problem there. So stress is how you process pressure. And the more you grow in professional life, the more pressure you have, and the more you need to know and deal with this balance between being involved, being engaged, but then also disengage and not take it personally.
Because you had to face various crises in your role as president of Brazil and full LATAM. Sometimes you had to handle a lot of employees and navigate these situations in an agile way. What have you learned from that time that you're taking to your nowadays roles, which is governance? And what can you say about the poor governance at OpenAI and the OpenAI coup that recently happened?
Interesting. Yes, I did go through different challenges. As I mentioned, 37 years in the tech industry, and the tech industry had ups and downs, some significant challenges. Tech industry, in tech, you are always at the forefront, and being at the forefront, you have more risk, and having more risk is you are more exposed to big challenges, up to the point of sometimes having to shut down parts of your business, or a new project that was very promising, but at some point in time, you need to pull the trigger and say, this is not going anywhere. Sometimes you are too soon in time. It happens as well that you invent something, create something, but the market is not yet prepared to understand that and follow that. Metaverse is an example. I'm a full believer in immersive internet, but there was a hype on metaverse, and Meta, the company, now former Facebook, invested tremendous amount of money, lost 47 billion already in that front, but still it's a bet, and I think they are doing the right thing. But at some point, but this makes pressure, and you need to release people, you need to terminate contracts with people, employees. That's very hard. You need to shut down operations, you need to face crisis. This is a part of the job in general. The more you grow, the more you're exposed to, but also in technology that is extreme, because as I mentioned, technology is at the boundary of society, I would say, in the same way as the arts. That's why I love technology and the arts. But back to the learnings and governance, interesting, because many people think, oh, I have a startup, it's very small, young, I don't need governance. I think governance you need from the very beginning, caring about preserving and expanding the value of your company. You need from the very beginning, of course, in a much more loose way. Maybe you elect a few people you know that are savvy and invite them to become your advisors, advisory board, and meet with them and get their pick up on their wisdom. And as you grow, you then become more and more formal in governance, but governance is becoming more and more important. And in there, yes, it is very important to anticipate crisis, to understand what's going to happen in the market, to be linked and connected, to understand the context, to understand these cyclical waves of valuations and capital and different classes of investment, and how the world is going, in order to protect your company and equip your company to grow, or entity to grow. Governance is therefore important, and having lived through crisis helps a lot. Now to OpenAI, very interesting company, and we don't yet know everything that happened there, but obviously there was a disconnect between the board, the investors, in particular the new investors. There was a change of the company from a non-for-profit to a for-profit company, and there was a huge growth, there was a huge pressure, and the board remained the board of a company that was closer to a non-for-profit than a for-profit, and there was a clash between the board, the executives, and the shareholders. That's a typical looking at the disconnect between them. That's a fundamental mistake, because governance is there to link actually the shareholders and look after what the shareholders invested in, and the value for the shareholders and the stakeholders at large, the society and the executives. So one of the fundamental elements of a board is this link between those realms, and that's what really got in a tremendous disarray in OpenAI. It seems that now things have settled, but that was a clear and obvious mismanaged governance issue that what happened there.
Last but not least, what place does the artist in you have in your business, and what is your opinion on art vs science, or art with science, should I say?
Yeah, yeah, art and science. In my particular life, it is technology, which is kind of an aspect of that, are two sides of the same coin, if you wish. No, I said governance is the art of preserving and expanding the values of the company, or the value of the company, and there you see the word art, and the art itself is as well a function of the human being that expresses elements that humans have, being that thoughts, being that emotions, in different ways. It can be painting, it can be music, which is a very abstract way of expression. It can be theater, which is a very physical way of, and an integral way of expression, because the actors are in front of you live with their entire body and mind and emotions. And that's why I like acting as well, because acting is kind of a very extreme expression. But both technology and art and science are essentially looking for the future, tapping into the future and bringing it to the present. An entrepreneur thinks about a new way of doing business, or creating a new device, machine, application, and it has the ability to materialize that. And an actor or a piece of art can tap into the future and show to everybody what comes along, and with that initiate a movement and expand the boundaries of society. Art and education more on the field of, and culture on the field of, yes, making us humans more human, if you wish, and science and technology is making our society a bit more efficient, a bit more pleasant, a bit more inclusive as well, if you have the right values in place. So both elements live in me for a long while already, and I have the tremendous pleasure of exercising both professionally, and they nurture one to the other. There is a cycle of virtuous refreshing. From the arts, I take a lot of energy, ideas, creativity into the technology, and from the technology and management and leadership and governance, I take a lot of discipline and knowledge to manage my artistic work. I co-lead a festival in Brazil. It's a theater festival called Mostra Internacional de Teatro de São Paulo, largest festival in Brazil. It happens the next edition from 1st to 10th March. And the MIT-SP, the festival, has an important role already today in the bridge of internationalization between the Brazilian arts and the markets abroad, Europe in particular, and the international scene in Brazil. And that is, again, something to be managed. So a festival is not easy to do. Of course, there is an artistic component, but of course there is an entity and management component, governance component. And so I learn from one into the other. As an artist itself, I'm a theater actor. That's a different story there. There you need to have some other discipline and skills and competencies. But all of that is, in my life at least, linked to each other. And I see finally that we, as I mentioned before, human beings are beings that have different bodies, and that we have the ability in life to nurture and to grow and to learn and to become stronger, become more creative, and they can co-live with each other, and should be co-living with each other, because we have been gifted with those bodies, and they have a function. So being in balance, just work and use your mind is not too healthy in my point of view.
Very insightful, Rafa. Thank you for this. Where can people find out more about you?
on my LinkedIn is a little bit of my resume today, and I do post quite a bit on LinkedIn itself, because I that's a space where I find more affinity than other social networks. And in LinkedIn, anybody can email me as well, and I'm always available to respond and interact with anybody that wants to do that, as I did with you. Thank you very much, Charles. It was very kind for you to reach out to me. And we didn't speak about SPACs, by the way. Shall I tell you one word to SPACs or not?
Or how about we book a round two? Because yeah, I'm tight on time, but we could book a round two in like a month from now. That'd be pretty fun. And not just SPACs, but like all the startups you're involved in. I have so much more I need to cover in your case.
Yeah, that's fine. We can talk about edtech, about legal tech, about any other area.
There you go.
And SPACs are going to come back, and we have already, Alpha Capital has done its first SPAC, but we will certainly come back and have a second SPAC at some point in time. So yes, please to talk to you whenever you want.
Yeah, round two, because SPACs are very interesting to me.